So, let me take you back. A few years ago, I was driving my car for the first time in months after lockdown had ended. And I thought to myself, I need a project. What if the world closes again this summer? I would go crazy. And then this magical sentence popped up in my head. It's the sentence that starts most of my amazing projects. You know what would be really funny? You know what would be really funny? Writing a business book about leadership and giant pandas. Yes, let this sink in for a moment. Leadership and pandas. But wait, can I challenge myself? Because I did write a book before, but never fiction. Can I write a business novel about panda leadership? And what if I aim really high? Yes, I want this book to be published by one of the best publishers in the Netherlands. Crazy, right? Well, I know I'm not the only one here with crazy ideas. Lots of times people say things to me like, I would love to write a book one day, or I would like to learn how to play an instrument, or learn a foreign language. And sometimes even, well, my dream is to go on a world trip. And then, nothing. Nothing happens, because the idea seems too big. Only like thinking about starting just feels overwhelming, and then you freeze. Relatable? Well, today I am here to share with you how I turn my weird and wacky ideas into real-life projects. And you know what would be really funny? If I do this by using Frankenstein as my metaphor. Frankenstein, you know, that big stitched-up guy based upon the novel of Mary Shelley, which she wrote when she was only 19 years old. So, idea generation, Frankenstein style. So let's go. The monster of Frankenstein and my ideas have something in common. The monster exists of different body parts that don't really belong together, but when you stitch them up, it creates something new, something powerful. Same with my ideas. I combine two seemingly unrelated things, I stitch them up together, and then I go find the chemistry between them. So, for my panda project, I found out that pandas are world's most passive leaders. So they do nearly nothing but eat and sleep. While the human race is trying to save this species from extinction. So people working hard for them lazy pandas. And to me, this is leadership. So do you collect your ideas, stitch them together, and go find the chemistry between them. And there you go. You've got yourself a monster. But well, every monster has a creator. So let's take a look at Dr. Frankenstein. He was a troubled young man. He had the urge to do something unique, something that hadn't been done before in science. Yeah, while his desire was a bit ego-driven, his passion was very real. Yeah, and good news, because passion and desire can be fueled with feelings and emotions. So I'm going to take you back to my car. There was this one image in my head that really kept me going. People, serious people, walking into a bookstore, facing my book, and saying something like, leadership, pandas, well, that's an odd combination. And this image gave me so much joy, and it really kept me motivated through the whole project. But, reality check, I know as a creator that my end result will never be as good as my original idea. So let's aim high. What if I make my idea a 150% idea, and the outcome is an 80% outcome. Well, that will still be magic, right? So there you go. You're super excited with your idea, and then life happens, and your idea just fades to the back of your head. Well, I found a way to trick my brain into thinking that the project has already been started. So what I do is, for example, in the panda thingy, the first thing I did when I came home was I sat behind my computer and I designed a book cover. And I got this book cover printed onto a mouse pad. So every day I sat behind my computer and I was confronted with this panda, like staring at me, like, do you remember me, lady? And I did. And something really small and practical that you can do to keep your ideas top of mind is change your passwords. So mine was panda for president, exclamation mark. But maybe if you're learning like a language or something, it could be something like Ich spreche Deutsch, 1, 2, 3, Polizei. I don't know, something fun like that. Little things, big results. Let's go to the third ingredient, that's the laboratory. So in the story of Frankenstein, Dr. Frankenstein, it was his student dorm. He created a monster in his student dorm. And to me, this is my playground, not his student dorm, but it's the messy middle, and it's also the place where a lot of people stop. But not me, because I create this really long to-do list. And I label everything on it, small, medium, large. And I make sure there are a lot of small tasks on my list. Have you ever heard of the phrase, eat that frog? It means to start with the hard part so that everything else will be easier. And this doesn't work for me. If it gets difficult in the beginning, I just quit. So what I do, I start off with all the easy tasks and I cross them off on my list, and then suddenly I'm halfway there. Or, well, I'm not really, but my brain buys it and thinks, well, let's just continue. You came this far. That's how I keep myself motivated. Another thing that I do is that I always try to learn a new skill while doing a project. So for this TED Talk, I signed myself up for a stand-up comedy course. And not because I wanted to be hilarious, but to get a better feeling for timing and also a better understanding for the audience. So if I mess this up big time, well, I still learned something new. So always win for me. So let's go to the fourth ingredient. It's the audience. So in the case of the Frankenstein story, it was an angry mob with pitchforks and torches. Hopefully not in real life. Because your audience can be your ally if you involve them early on in your process. So for me, after I finished my fake book cover, I made videos. Marketing videos, in which I told the world why the world needs a book about leadership and pandas. And I shared them on my socials. And then all of a sudden, I had this list with 25 people on it that wanted to pre-order my book. And I hadn't written like one single word. But I did feel very accountable to do so. So make sure you share your process. And it's not scary, because if you think like, yeah, but what if somebody steals my idea? Well, I promise you, if your idea is wacky enough, nobody will. So for the final element in my story, it's the helper. Well, he wasn't original in the novel. He was introduced a little bit later in the Frankenstein movies, but his name is Igor. And he's this little hunchback guy that always cheers for Dr. Frankenstein. And you know what? I wish you all had your own Igor. Not a little hunchback guy, but you know, somebody that cheers for you and for your idea, for your projects. And for me, in my process, early on, I called this girl I knew. I told her my panda idea, and she loved it. And I loved her energy, because it was supportive, but also quite critical, and it was just what I needed. And along the way, she became my writing coach. And I think it's really important to always choose the people you want to take advice from. Do not ask for permission. Keep your energy high, because not everyone gets a saying in your monster. So here we go. We have ourselves a monster, a creator, we have a laboratory, an audience, and a helper. These are the ingredients. This is the recipe. And you know what? It works. My book got published by the best publisher in the Netherlands. And still today I get to stand on stage and talk about leadership and pandas. And you know why? Because I believed in my idea. And I acted like it already existed. So that's it. This is how you unleash your weird and wacky ideas upon the world. But, well, now it's your turn. So think of an idea. It can be something that you laugh about, something that you dream of, maybe something you just occasionally drop in a conversation. The wouldn't it be funny kind of idea. And make sure you don't wait till it's perfect. Start now. I don't know, change your passwords, create a mousepad, or now at least tell everybody that you're already doing this. And then, when your monster of an idea stumbles into the world, a little bit awkward, a little bit weird, but well, totally you. And somebody asks you, how did you do this? You just smile and say, well, you know what would be really funny? Thank you.